And we're going to also be talking a little bit about a future event that we're going to be doing on Wednesday, which is going to be an offering where people can join us to actually like go more in depth with some of the things that we're sharing here today. So I just see that Yunuen just joined, and so uh, yeah, so great to see everyone. Yay! Thank you so much for being here, Yunwen. It is an honor to have you here on Meditation Monday. I am so excited for us to share some of the things that we've been talking about. So today we're talking about reclaiming the body as altar and the creation of new myths. And I wanted to, before we start, to share kind of what this conversation is going to look like. We're going to, have a wonderful dialogue and then move into a short meditation that you're going to be facilitating for us. And then after that, we're going to start talking about this theme. We're going to share some images of past projects that we've worked on. We're going to also share a little bit about our own stories, how we came to work together. So before we start, I wanted to read your bio, if that's okay, Yunwen. I have it here in front of me.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, give me a second. So Yunuen Rhi, we are a two-spirit performance artist, anthropologist, martial art instructor, and healer. Our roots are in Mexico, the United States, and Korea. We have cultivated ourselves in Western, Eastern, Native medicine pathways and practices as a way to deepen the understanding of selves. Our performance work incorporates ritual and psychomagic elements. Our performance interests lie in social practice as a way to create effective bridges between performance and community needs in a decolonial setting. Yes, so wonderful to have you here on Meditation Monday. I feel like a lot of the things that we're going to talk about are really connected to some of the other things that we've been talking about in this series. So yeah, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here, Yuen.
Yeah, thank you, Edgar. It's always an honor to be working with you, and also thanks for the invite here and to be Pam.
Yeah, so should we, do you want to share anything before we move into a meditation or anything you'd like to let folks know about what you're going to be offering in terms of this meditation?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the only indication I would tell you everyone is that what we're here to open today as an intention is interstitial spaces, or our journey into the interstitial spaces, right? So this is going to be a meditation that I learned in China, part of my Bagua practice. This is the internal martial art that I teach. And it's going to be very simple, but the most simple things go deep, right? So like they say, the still waters run deep. So yeah, this is a meditation that you want to be very comfortable. You can actually do it standing up, which is the best. So for people who can do it, and I'll give you the indications. So I'm gonna be standing up, right? So I'll stand up. You want to breathe in very slow and start exhaling longer than you inhale. So it's as if you're blowing a little tiny feather into the universe. So it's like your breath becomes, your exhale becomes eternal, which will give you a better understanding of how to breathe deeper. So especially when we get stressed or something happens, our breathing will become very clavicular, right? So you want to start breathing each time deeper and exhale slowly out. So that's the rhythm of breath work we will follow. We will then just be very relaxed in a standing position with eyes closed. So keep your rhythm of breathing. So we're going to be rocking back and forth on the feet. We want to go back to that moment in time where we're sleeping in a deep sleep. Then the alarm rings. We manage to turn it off. We go back to sleep. And then we forget whether we're sleeping or we're awake. So our dream time and the real time merge. So go back to that state. Relax in it. Everything that you think, everything that you hear, everything that you smell, it's like a dream. Okay, we can slowly come back into ourselves, into the room, into this created reality. Yeah, thank you. So this is just a small exercise that you can actually do for a longer time. So this is the understanding of it, just going to that moment in time where we're in a in-between state. So this is actually the ideal time that we want to inhabit actually in our practice. So this is why we practice. This is why, people do meditation. We want to start to inhabit those in-between spaces. And from those in-between spaces, then we can start to open different realities. We can start to merge into different worlds. So this is a little bit of a taste, right, of what I do, of my practice, but also as it relates to medicine work, because I find that there's a lot of interrelations, which we can also talk about that, right, the interrelations between these medicines, right, Eastern and Native medicines.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. That was so powerful, and definitely love. You and I have talked a lot about diving into portals together, right? And opening portals together. And I really feel that in those spaces, as you were naming it, there is so much infinite potential, right? And I think that's one of these, one of the reasons that so many different people from many different backgrounds have explored these spaces, have worked with these spaces. And so I'm definitely excited for us to talk a little bit about, this theme that we're bringing up, which is reclaiming the body as altar, talking about working with the body being a sacred site, right? And the creation of new myths. So I'd like, should we share a little bit about how you and I got to know each other, or how we've come to kind of work together before we start kind of going into talking a little bit about the theme?
Yeah, of course. So I met Edgar at PAM in Highland Park. So Brian Getnick's space with Peter it's called PAM Performance Residencies, and they host a time where they invite artists. It's called Critical Forum. So Brian invited me there, and I took this pieces of armor from a performance, a photo performance I did called Koyojaki Rising. And this is some of the armor that I took, and I have so I had this done in Oaxaca, collaboration with several people, including Panucha Chichimeca, who's here, and yeah, this is thanks for coming. So basically, this is a piece that I did in Oaxaca, and I was painted in different clays from resistance sites in Oaxaca. And the armor of the Coyolxauhqui was made by potters from Oaxaca in Atzompa. So I worked with those communities actually in some of the field work, anthropology field work I did. And I had them make the armor of Coyolxauhqui. And her joints are land spirits, so they're alive. The knees, the joints, the elbows, the shoulders, everything's alive, and they're all land spirits. And this is why they have eyes and fangs. So this is what I brought. This is what I brought that time to Pam. I confused Pam and Pam. So Pam, the interstitials are happening already, right?
Yes,
So, yeah.
we are in that liminal space.
Yeah, so Pam, that was where I met Edgar, and then Edgar took my workshop. I offered a critical forum, and then I offered a Bagua workshop, and that was the first workshop I did in LA. So that was about like almost 4 years ago, and that was amazing. And then since then, we were actually talking about that same day about obsidian, and then we ended up collaborating together a few years later with different workshops we offered in LA, especially at the Peter Performance Space. So that was the first offering, and we offered serpent clouds and different practices from both of us combined. My constellation method and Edgar's scrying method of obsidian, and also some of their meditations and other work. So that was a really beautiful time where we were able to merge together those offerings, but as well as we were able to also collaborate in different performances. So I invited Edgar to my performance In the Name of My Abuelita, the first one I did at Pam. And Edgar invited me to their performance of Give Us Home Spider with my friend Aníbal Sandoval. We were both there. So that was, yeah, that's some clips from that moment. We did an offering at Bloomington, Edgar's home, like a home space, where there was like some pollution left over from some, I think it was what was it, Edgar, exactly that industry that was there? I'm not sure, I
It
don't
was a
remember.
cement factory, like a quarry that was extracting minerals from the earth. And the reason that we were there is because I grew up surrounded by these toxic chemicals that like damage the respiratory system, and so many people in that community, especially a lot of them are, it's a big kind of immigrant community, a lot of people who are the Latinx diaspora who live there. And unfortunately, we were not really told about this. So there was a lot of toxic waste that was being dumped and kind of thrown into the air. So we went there to offer our energies, our bodies to be there to offer to the land. Yeah. And I wanted to show you, you talked a little bit about Constelación Huarache. Do you mind if I show a little clip from the first one that we did at PAM?
Yeah, go ahead. This is yeah, this is from the first constellation that we did, the very first constellation. Since then, I've done 13, and at times with groups of 25 people. It's a collective medium method called Constelación Huarache. And we walked down Figueroa Street down to a community park where we ended up burning some of the information that we downloaded from our constellation as one soul organism. And this, yeah, and that's what we're walking, right, with fabric that we made holes in it, and then everyone put their head through it. So we were like this one caterpillar walking down Figueroa Street. That was really amazing. So thanks for showing that.
Yeah, and I think it's so beautiful that, as you were naming, when our kind of passions and our interests and our research interests and like also our experiences and also the different lineages that we are a part of, when those came together and we started to explore together and kind of create these experiences together, other things started to emerge. And I think that's something that's been really beautiful, witnessing, the La Constelación Huarache emerge for you, and, seeing how powerful that process has been. And so, after we did that one, I wanted to share just a short clip of when you and I worked together for mirroring resilience work, because you brought this sacred medicine into this artist residency that I did up in North Hollywood. It was funded through the Department of Cultural Affairs from the city of Los Angeles. And so Yunuen was able to offer the Constelación Huarache to a group of artists, creatives who were there as well. So I'll show a small clip too, and if you want to share anything about that while we're watching it, Yunuen.
Yeah, so what united Edgar and I was our medicine work or experiences. In my case, I had come from a background in anthropology, which led me to also medicine work and being a facilitator in peyote medicine ceremonies. And then it turns out that Edgar had just told me they had discovered that their father was Wirrárica, or Huichol origin. And that was really amazing because it connected him directly to the keepers of the peyote, right? So the Wirrárica people or Huichol people in Mexico are the keepers of the peyote medicine. They're the guardians and the ones who have been holding space for that medicine and doing pilgrimages and offerings for that. And so this medicine work that you're seeing here is like a ceremonial work coming together into a dynamic that's a collective healing experience that doesn't use medicine, but it induces it in us. So yeah, some people at the end of that felt that they had eaten mushrooms, because I worked directly with also some of these elders in giving place to elders who were many times their knowledge was appropriated, they were forgotten, they were basically robbed, right? So in my altar I have Maria Sabina, and this is a little bit of what happened, right? People embody a certain aspect that they need to understand. So whether it's an aspect of an urgency of themselves at that moment, for example, in that constellation, some of us, I think there was one person that chose to be redwoods. I think I chose to be butterfly. So you don't have to choose any longer like an ancestor you want to understand. It has to do with choosing maybe a concept. So this is where it becomes different than also some therapy work, like family constellation therapy. And this is a method that was used, discovered in Germany, right, by Bert Hellinger. But he was a missionary who was studying Zulu people, how they did healing work. He noted all that and he created that method. But seldom are people knowing about that. People who do it, they don't know about it. That means he never credited them. He never invited them to those works. He never collaborated with them. So when we're talking about opening new myths up, it's also putting an end to this kind of abusive way of relating to people's knowledge systems, especially those knowledge systems that are oral tradition. Oftentimes that's not valued, right? It's stigmatized because it comes from people who maybe didn't go to a school the way that we understand school to be. And that means that there's like a permission for them to violate the information they have or to take it. And so this is, the altar is kind of a combination of also 3 levels of healing work. So the level of healing that comes of being able to put down our elders, maybe elders who were forgotten, that are no longer forgotten because we're remembering them there, right? So we're already creating a new pathway, new myth. Then that person maybe connecting to a different culture and where that came from, right? So it's kind of right now we have a need to reclaim a certain information. Some of us who grew up in the U.S. Or are migrants to the U.S. forgot about some of the background we come from, whether was it from stigmatization, whether it was from shaming, whatever the reason, some of us are drawn to those roots, right? So what we're trying to do is reclaim that information as soon as possible so that we can be grounded completely in ourselves and not be bothered anymore by the shame or appropriation or anything that has to do with kind of oppression systems, right? So it's like not giving room to that and opening up other spaces. And so that's what we're intending in the work that we do on Wednesday and in the Huarache constellation that I do. And I feel that when I met Edgar, it's kind of the same type of idea of that, what they are doing in, their magic. So that's just a little bit about
I think that's, one of the really, I definitely, feel like that's one of the many things that connects us together, Yunuen, is that we really want to honor the legacies that we are a part of, that, the kind of ways that we've been able to receive information from our elders, from our ancestors, from different people that we've worked with. And we, kind of bring this information to our community. And I think a part of, what we're talking about is, when we're reclaiming our, our lineages, our kind of the medicine that we're connected to, the practices that we're connected to, that really starts to also honor our body as a sacred conduit that's able to really channel information from the ancestors, from the plants, from the animals, that we're able to work with the body and to, as you talked about at the beginning of this conversation, enter into that liminal space where you can open up your senses and really allow things to move in. And I think that's why, as you were naming earlier, it can feel like a psychedelic experience to open up and to kind of allow your awareness to expand in this way. I'd love for you to share a little bit about, La Constelación Huarache and also about Maria Sabina, for folks that, might watch this who don't know who Maria Sabina was, if you want to share a little bit about her.
Yeah, Maria Sabina was a priestess of the mushroom medicine in Huautla de Jimenez, Oaxaca. She was the spearhead for the psychedelic movement in the world. And she was also spearhead for LSD research and also research on mushrooms. Yet she was never given full credit for that. She was interviewed. They were, Time Magazine did a spread on her. They were taking information from her just as many people take information from elders and then never go back to take care of them. She hosted big people, big names of like the Doors, the Beatles, many beatniks, a lot of artists that thanks to her, that helped them open other dimensions in their own work. And that's why I say that it opened up the psychedelic movement in music. I have a friend, Henry Quintero, who's doing a manuscript on that from Arizona State University. He's also one of my medicine elders, I can say that, and he's a professor at ASU. That we are talking about that since when I started to do my master's thesis, right? So how can I step away from is, colonial and imperialist based and start to do it from the standpoint of our elders with that respect. And so that's why this work is grounded on that, right? I'm grounded on all those experiences. And so that's a little bit about Maria Sabina, the importance of Maria Sabina. And the way that she relates to the work is that I work with an altar. In her altar, she had Pancho Villa, or she had like other emblems of Mexican history. And why, you know, for me, part of the remembrance is putting those elders now on our altars and starting to work with them, and they can guide us. And this is why those channels are opened up in a respectful way, and they were grounded, because it's not just me, it's those ancestors that I carry, those ancestors, those people I've related to. I didn't relate directly to Maria Sabina because she's in another realm, right? But I did relate to grandmother Julieta Casimiro. She was one of the 13 indigenous grandmothers, and she was also in Huautla de Jimenez. So I did several medicine work with her and her family, and she was very powerful. And the other important aspect of the portal, of like the altar as a portal, is that it has many levels. So in the Mexica cosmology, there's 9 underworlds, there's 13 terrestrial worlds, there's 11 celestial worlds. So this kind of thing of like, oh, heaven and hell simplicity is limiting. You know, right now when we think of the underworlds, we can do a lot of work with the underworlds, but it doesn't mean that it's bad or negative. It's actually necessary, you know, just like the mushrooms are beings, they call them santos niños, that are alive, and they are responsible for turning the death-life cycle, right? So we're inhabiting all those realms, and we have work to do in all those realms. And the teachers for that are actually those who are in Huautla de Jimenez, those elders, those priestesses, and Maria Sabina was a big one. And you can see her has a position in some of her photos that she's like this. And if you see some of the pre-Hispanics figures, yeah, she's like standing like this. And some of the pre-Hispanic figures of death, of Mictlantecutli, they're like also standing like this. And so I've seen with my eyes like how they transform into these beings of the underworlds, and they can resolve information through all those levels, but all those levels also in the terrestrial realms, in the celestial realms, which is where that connects to the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So that's where it connects with Eastern medicine pathway systems, because they are very similar in that aspect, right? That there's many realms and there's bardos that they go through. So it's very similar to that. Also, if you can think of, you know, in tantric practices, some of the, like the Green Tara and their consorts, they're much like, you know, each god, goddess in Mexica cosmology also has their consorts, or they call them like their duality, even though I don't think that's an appropriate word, because it's more complicated like that, you know? So yeah, these are some of the ancestors and the spirits we work with on the altar, and on some of the works that we did with Edgar. We did like a Xochipilli work, and so we're going to reconnect back and reclaim some of that wisdom and use it now to work with our communities, especially with people of color, because we need different systems, right? So we can't use the same thing that everyone has been using for a long time. So there's like a limit to psychotherapy. There's like a lot to talk about there, right, Edgar? I think that these are some of the conversations that we also had when we met that go deep, that are deep rooted, because we're needing something else and something immediate for people to start to find a way to open up to these interstitial spaces and to get grounded fast, right? Away from post-traumatic stress disorder that comes from our family lineages. You know, we need to step away from these kind of self-destructive habits and start to inhabit fully our body. So this is why we do this work. This is why I do this work, so that I can teach people how to be a proper channel for their own spirit. And then from there, we can start to also inhabit other maybe concepts to understand something that we don't, right? Something that's not fully there. We can do it through embodying it in a secure in a setting. So this is what the altar provides and our ancestors provide.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really powerful to work with ceremony and to name that ceremony is an ancient practice, right? That we are bringing back and that we're weaving back into our current times, our contemporary times. And I think that's kind of where, thinking about the creation of new myths and how it's important to create new myths. I was sitting for a moment this morning thinking a little bit about what our governments and the leaders in our country are offering us in terms of narrative, in terms of myths around what is happening both right now with this current pandemic, as well as, on a larger scale, what's happening with global warming and with changes in the ecosystem, and thinking about the narratives that they are providing and, thinking how important it is to really tap into our bodies, to listen to the narratives that are wanting to emerge from our bodies, the energies that are wanting to move through our bodies, and to also create a safe space, as you were saying, for people to share and to process and to collectively co-create something together. And I think that's, to me, what's really important about these sacred practices is that they create that space for us to create in the in-between, in the liminal space, in between timelines, also in between our relationships, right? And the things that come up in having these powerful conversations that happen in ceremony. So with that, I want to share that on Wednesday, Yunuen and I, for people that are interested, we are going to be offering a virtual workshop that's going to be happening on Zoom. So anyone all over the planet can join. It's going to be happening on Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to be navigating the vortex and really embodying and bringing a lot of these concepts, these ideas into a virtual ceremonial experience that people will be able to actually share in. And if you're interested in that, you can go to my Instagram or to Yunuen's, and there's a sign up sheet there that will give you information about how to register. My name is at Edgar Fabián Frías, and Yunuen is at Yunuen _RHI, and Yunuen is YUNUEN. RHI _RHI. So anything you want to share about that, Yunuen, about our upcoming workshop, or about this idea also of creating new myths that I was just talking about?
Yeah, I feel that it's so important to inhabit this space, the virtual space, content. I feel that sometimes it kind of gets out of hand, and then there's like an algorithm and repeats a lot of the same information that we're seeing, and that it creates bubbles, right? So this is why we're also taking up the moment to do this and offer a workshop like this. And then you might think that that's a challenge, and I certainly thought this that it could be, and I've already experimented in doing a constellation with the Korean diaspora last week, and it was really powerful. So I think that this is also a new challenge. If this is going to continue, or this kind of social distancing, or actually how can we create new pathways of connecting with people all over the world, because this is a great potential, right? And to meet people that are from different time zones and merge everything together. And it is possible. And what we experienced last time was very powerful. So I can give some indications of what to do or what to bring, of ways to relate with the participants, but also through this medium. So there's a lot to talk about there. And if anyone has any questions regarding that, and they're free to write us. Yeah, they're free to write me. You can ask anything that you'd like if there's a doubt on the way that things work. And yeah, what I do is set up and open a space. We would open like a space at the beginning, a little bit just like what we did today, but actually more extended. This is why we are setting up something that's not on a live Instagram, that it's more intentioned and more dedicated to a specific time and time frame. So yeah, there's too many distractions here, so we could only do a limited amount of presenting our work. That's what we did today, and a little bit of the meditation, which is a taste of what we can do.
Yeah, and
What
I'd like
I do
to.
in the yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, and if anyone here who's watching right now has a question or if they have any comments, we're going to be on for maybe around a little bit under 10 minutes. So if people have any comments or any questions, feel free to send them right now while we're talking, and we'll make sure that we get to your question or your comment. Yeah, please continue, Yunwen.
Yeah, definitely. Write us. Yeah, we have the altar set up. That's what we would do that day. And we would do also writing exercise so that people can brainstorm regarding an urgency that they have at the moment, and then select, some words to inhabit. And then I'll give indications about how to do that, and some of the ways to interact. And then Edgar is also going to lead some work before that as well, to be able to ground everyone. And the techniques that I use sometimes are with my practice. So some of the information that comes from my practice. So Chinese medicine points, acupoints, and alignment, as well as postures for grounding. And then I also sometimes use Mashika medicine points, so Mashika chakra points, to activate, because we are in a relational, we're in a relation with everything around us. So this is also a concept from indigenous epistemologies, where we are related to everything around us. And when we break that bond, right, that's when we feel dissociated somehow. So everything around us, including our body, so making the body an altar is starting to dialogue with our internal organs even, right? Our chakra points. So those in the Mashika medicine system, they are alive. So each point has a meaning, and we're going to be activating them. And as we activate them, you will start to feel also, your body as a channel. So this is the difficult part. So somehow we were disconnected from that and fragmented. And then now if you want to heal your mind, you'll have to go to a psychiatrist. If you want to heal your heart, then you'll have to go to a cardiologist, right? If you want to train, I don't know, your abs or something, then you'll go to a personal trainer. So see, everything about us is fragmented. We want to bring it back together. And This is what we're going to do that day.
Definitely. Yeah. And I have a question here from Este. Este Ojo asks, can you talk a little bit more about altar as portal? Love this. Thank you. Thank you so much, Este. We really appreciate you being here on the live stream with us. Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about that, about altar being a portal. I think altars are really powerful spaces that we can work with to open up space, and we can do that. One thing that I really have loved learning about from my Indigenous elders is that there is a sacred resonance that comes with building altar spaces and when entering into a space of ceremony. And when you kind of set that intention, you tap into that field and that vibration of energy, and that field exists beyond time and space. And it really allows a portal of time and space to open up. And that's really one of the ways that we're able to really commune with ancestors, commune with other, elements, parts of ourselves. As we're working with our body as an altar, we're also opening up those pathways of communication and kind of dissolving some of those fragmentations that Yunwen was talking about that happen within this mechanistic system that we've been forced to be in. And so really it's about unifying and bringing back together and working with altar as a portal, as an opening to help build these bridges and weave these fragmentations back together. And I don't know if you have anything else you would want to add, Yunwen.
Yeah, I think that what I would add is something that we were talking about in some of the clips before that we recorded, that there's practices that have been preserved through oral traditions that contain this wisdom. And this is the importance then of our altars, right? So for example, my practice, my body practice of Bagwajang, internal martial arts, is a system that combines Taoist, Buddhist, and martial arts philosophy, right? So all of that is a system that was set up. And as a system, it has information embedded in it, like codes. So when that is transmitted, then you will pick up those codes and then you can apply them just as a protocol, right? So also ceremony is a protocol. Like how are we going to interact, for example, with this sacred plant, the daime or the ayahuasca or peyote medicine, right? Because those entities are living. How are we going to dialogue with them? There were protocols set up that you can call them a system, that you can call them a system of ceremony. So when you do like a teepee ceremony, there's roles inside of there. There's certain roles or certain people that are keeping those that place intact, right? So that the medicine can actually do the work. So it's not the people doing the work. It's not the guru doing the work. The guru is the medium. So this is why we're doing this workshop, so that people can start to understand a little bit more about that. And thank you for your question, because that is very important, right? So how does the portal connect to the altar? The altar is a set of code, and we are code too. But sometimes we forgot how to do that because of indoctrination. So once we start to activate the codes inside, then we're going to be able to complete ourselves.
Yeah. And I wanted to share another image that you shared with me, Yunuen. And I don't know if this connects to what we were talking about, but I think it's a really powerful image. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about it, or just share if this connects at all to some of the things we were talking about.
Yeah, well, I can connect it to what we're talking about, the portals and the altar and the body as an altar. So the body is a portal, right? So this is a performance piece that's I'm inhabiting the Coatlicue. So Coatlicue is the serpent snake goddess from Mexico, from the Mexica people, or the wrongly called Aztec people. So she's she has a skirt and it's made of serpents. So she is Coatlicue. She's also a spirit of like a mother. She's Mother Earth. Like, so you can think of her skirts are serpents, right? That are like walking on the land, and they have a certain work that they have to do, right? And so this is a performance piece that I did, and like this one, I have others where I'm inhabiting certain goddesses, Mexica goddesses. So not only for a performance sake or aesthetics sake, it's also to start to wake them. It's also start to inhabit them, to start to relate to them and remember something about them. And so as I remember something about them, they also remember and start to wake up. They can also start to do work through me as a channel, right? So if I'm a proper channel, then I can inhabit something about them and aspects that can also wake up certain information if it was lost in my lineage, So this is where I also say that this is important work to do, because there's certain information from our lineages that we forgot, whether it was even like people who are totally disconnected for many generations from their ancestors. They can still reclaim certain information through these kind of practices.
And with, that really connects to last week we had Ofelia Esparza and Rosana Esparza Arens here on the live stream, and they were talking about altares and the power of working with altares, and also the power of remembering ancestors, remembering the people that we're connected to, and the sacredness of doing that, right? When we remember, we create that channel, that portal, and we are able to, again, inhabit their energies, and they're able to inhabit us. And we're kind of healing some of the wounds that have been caused by colonization, right? That have separated us. And I think that's also a big part of this work, is helping to heal some of these wounds, as you named, that we all have experienced, and that many people, in these different diasporas have experienced as a result of colonization. So we just have a couple more minutes here. I wanted to ask if there's any last questions that people may have. Hi, Xenogenitalis, nice to see you. Thank you for being here on this live stream. Also, while we're waiting to see if there are any more questions, any more comments, wanted just to share again that on Wednesday, we're gonna be offering a workshop called Navigating the Vortex, and it is going to be an embodied virtual workshop. There is information both on my Instagram account at Edgar Fabián Frías and over on Yunuen's Instagram account. We're both tagged in the Vincent Price Art Museum's most recent post. And are there any other ways that people can get a hold of you, Yunuen, or that they can learn more about you or of your practices?
Yeah, you can go into my website. It's isuini.com, isuini.com. So that's the website for my internal martial art practice called Bagwajan. And I have a performance page that I'm opening, and it's still under construction, but at least you can see some things there. Yunuen.Rhi.com. So just like my Instagram name.com. And that's my website that I'm still working on. So those are two ways, and you can also contact me through here if you have questions.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, we're really grateful to everyone for joining us here, whether it's here in this moment or later on if you watch this as it's going to be up on the Vincent Price Art Museum's Instagram account. So definitely feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. I see here that El Hermit just said, excited for Wednesday. Thank you. So powerful. We're really, really excited for you, El Hermit, to be a part of this. As Yunuen and I said, we're really wanting to work with folks of color, with folks who are, also sacred conduits, which could be, lots of people in our divine communities of color and folks who are in the queer, the trans, the gender expansive realm, people who come from these divine intersecting backgrounds. So we really are excited to connect with you all. So El Hermit, we're really happy that you're going to be a part of this ceremony. If you're going to, again, if you're wanting to join us, we have information in our profiles. Click the link that's in our profile and you can find out more information about how to join and register, and we will send you the information about how to join us virtually. And Xenogenitalis just asked, are you streaming any live Bagwajan? And that's one question. And then chicken tastes like wood. Asher says, so beautiful, thank you. Vididita says, thank you also. Thank you so much for being here on this live stream and for watching this. But yeah, are you streaming any live Bagwajan?
I haven't done any live streaming of Bagwajan, but I do have some classes that I teach online. And if you go to my site or if you write me, I'll send you the information. And it's sliding scale too. So I have, actually it's on Tuesday evening, and it's connected also to the Philosophical Research Society where I teach normally. And that's a good day to join if you're new, because I'm going to have a theory presentation and a practice presentation. And that's at 5 p.m. PST. And yeah, just send me a message and I'll give you the information. Yeah.
Oh, and Chicken Tastes Like Wood just asked, will we be doing more talks together? Not at this moment, we don't have any plan, but again, we're going to be meeting on Wednesday and doing a ceremony together. So that's definitely a place if Asher or other people are wanting to come and connect with us some more. But I definitely feel like, Yunuen and I have worked in many different capacities. We're constantly mutating our offerings. And so I'm really excited to see how we end up working together again and offering some of these conversations. Because I do feel, I definitely really trust in spirit for bringing us together and for connecting us, because there are so many intersections, and both in terms of our passions, as I said earlier, but also in terms of our own stories too. I feel like there's so many connections there. So thank you for that question, Asher.
Yeah, big hug, Asher.
So
and
any more questions?
yeah, I'm looking forward to the work.
Yeah, and definitely Asher was someone that was on here, and we did some tag team um, tarot readings and also energy readings. And that was something that a lot of people really appreciated. So really, so good to see you. Double hugs to you too, Asher. Yeah, Zeno Genitalis says, I miss you too. We miss you as well. Love Construction says hello and hi. Um, yeah, so I think, this is kind of our time, right, Yunuen? So I'm, just really grateful to have you here on Meditation Mondays. Thank you for joining us. We really are appreciative of you sharing all of this wisdom and bringing in all of this medicine and information for our communities. I definitely really want to encourage people to check out Yunuen Rhi's Instagram account and also go to their websites too if you want to see more about their practices that are really powerful and important.
Yeah, thank you, Edgar. And yeah, great day for everyone. And thanks for joining. And hope to see everyone on Wednesday.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.